Tantabus, Mark II, Chapter 2, Error is Reproducible. The moment Twilight entered the dream, even before she got anything more than a brief impression, she knew something was wrong. Smoke clogged the sky, and the entire place stank of dark magic and smog. "My word," Luna said quietly. Twilight got a good look around and was inclined to agree. They were hovering over the Crystal Empire, but it wasn't Candace's empire, this was Sombra's empire. All of the bright colors and smooth surfaces had been replaced with dark ones and jagged spikes, much like the one she'd seen in the last minutes before Spike and Candace retrieved the Crystal Heart. Standing in the square below the Crystal Palace was row upon row upon row of crystal ponies, each and every one of them wearing the same helmets she'd heard about in the first alternate timeline when chasing down Starlight. They stood with an unnatural stillness, moved with an unnatural synchronicity. And on the balcony of the palace, standing tall and arrogant, was King Sombra himself, his mane, tail, mustache, and cape were flowing dramatically in the wind as his crown glinted from the few rays of sunlight that managed to break through the clouds. Flanking him on either side was Celestia and Luna, helmets stuck on their heads acting as bodyguards. With a cold, borderline serpentine eye, Sombra looked over the SM. Wait, Sombra had a mustache? Twilight looked again. It wasn't just a mustache, it was the handlebar mustache to end all handlebar mustaches, beyond compare of any before or any to come. It was impeccably groomed, with not a hair out of place, a glossy sheen coated, and ends that turned up in just the right ways. Quite possibly one of the biggest, curliest, and most fabulous mustaches Twilight had ever seen. It seemed purpose-built for twirling while cackling vanillously. And twirl it while cackling vanillously, Sombra did. "Yes," he said, rubbing his hooves in between, twirling his mustache. "With this unstoppable army to my command, with even the princesses themselves under my hoof, all of Equestria shall be mine. Mwahahahaha." He wasn't even properly cackling. Twilight realized he was clearly enunciating mwahaha. Twilight gave a sidelong glance at Luna. "I'm not sure this is quite as dire as it seems." Luna stared at Sombra's slightly slack-jawed, or to be precise, at Sombra's spectacular mustache. "No, perhaps not." "Popcorn?" Twilight twitched and turned around. The Tantabus was hovering next to her, holding forth a bag of said popcorn. The kernels were thoroughly drenched in butter, enough to make Twilight nauseous. The Tantabus was chewing loudly. Luna leaned around Twilight and scowled at the Tantabus. "Don't chew with your mouth open." "But Mom..." "And don't speak with your mouth full, honestly. Did I forget to teach you manners in between enabling your control of dreams?" The Tantabus scowled, swallowed, and licked its lips. "But the popcorn..." Shoved the bag in Twilight's face again. Twilight lightly nudged the bag and its butterly soda contents away. No thank you." The Tantabus shrugged. "Suit yourself." It turned back to the scene, continued devouring popcorn. Twilight pulled Luna aside. "So what now? Do we try to take the Tantabus out of here, or see what happens?" Luna rubbed her head, muttering nothing under her breath. "I don't know," she whispered. "On the one hoof, the situation looks horrific, like it could be any pony's nightmare. On the other, we aren't sure it is the Tantabus doing it. Well, Sombra, he's that overreacting thing." Twilight nodded and looked at Sombra. "He's beyond cliché. He's not just comic booky, he's all melodramatic and Silver Agey." Luna blinked. "You know about the Silver Age of comic books?" "Yeah, Spike likes comics and he was talking about it one day, so I..." "Wait, you know about the Silver Age?" Twilight and Luna stared blankly at each other for a moment. Then Twilight coughed and said, "So, as we were saying, Sombra's an over-the-top pantomime villain with a mustache?" "Well, duh," the Tantabus interjected through a mouthful of popcorn. "If you're gonna go with a cheesy villain, they gotta have a terrible mustache." "Don't speak with your mouth full," the Tantabus swallowed and pounded. You know, for someone who doesn't seem to want to admit she's my mom, you sure act like my mom. I think it suits you, Twilight said. You ever tried using the Royal Canterlot voice? That would not be... Luna's voice trailed off as she considered. That would be rather enjoyable, she admitted. She began drifting into deep thought. So, the mustache is your fault, Twilight asked the Tantabus. She tried to find a better word than fault, but implied she didn't like it, but she couldn't find one. The Tantabus nodded. And the brainwashed princesses? Luna didn't say anything, but she looked quite peeved. Sorry, Mom, said the Tantabus ring, but it's the kind of thing that this dreamer would want. If you don't like it, you can go and make good dreams. Twilight looked around the Crystal Empire, and how much of the rest did you make? Not all of it, a lot, like the basic idea was already there. Here. I mostly just amped it up a bit, like the mustache. He was going OTT anyway, so I figured a mustache wouldn't hurt, but you couldn't make the whole dream a little bit better? No, not for the kind of dream this pony wanted. They wanted a hellish landscape where the Crystal Empire is doomed, asked Luna. And Sombra being hammy enough to require a mustache, don't forget that, Tantabus nodded sagely. True. Luna looked around this Crystal Empire at all the brainwashed ponies. But maybe this isn't the best place to see what sorts of good dreams you can make. We should try another dream, one where a happy dream involves less enslavement. It was amazing how, in spite of barely having normal eyes, the Tantabus could still make a sad puppy dog face. But we'll miss the best part. This is the bit where everything turns around for the good guys. The bad guy gets beat up. I set it up myself, please, pretty please, with sugar on top. Everything before is just backdrop. Not every pony's idea of a good dream is yours, Twilight said to Luna. We should try to stay a little longer, just to see what this turns into. Luna rubbed her forehead. Very well, 5 or 10 minutes. The Tantabus grinned and bounced in the air a little. Yay! And once, Equestria Falls, said Sombra. Either his speech had passed as the trio talked, or he was ludicrously long-winded. The world shall be mine. Mwahahaha. Nothing can stop me now. And, whispered the Tantabus. Rainbow-colored missile cannoned through the clouds, blasting them aside and letting the sun shine through. It smashed into the square in front of the crystal. A rainbow shockwave radiated and bowled over the crystal ponies assembled there. In the middle of the space stood Rainbow Dash, staring up at Sombra. A purple cape flapped around her neck, and her hooves were encased in boots of some sparkly violet metal. The boots left behind trails in the air where they passed, like some kind of after an image. She looked a bit larger than usual, about the size of Cadence, but didn't have a horn. The Tantabus preened. Like the costume, the cape was her idea, but the trails are all me. You talked to her? Gasped Luna. Well, no, I just got impressions of what she likes and shaped it that way. She likes capes. The Tantabus ate some more popcorn and, after a brief glare from Luna, swallowed before talking again. But honestly, before I came in, she wasn't wearing anything, and that's boring. Sombra. Rainbow Dash yelled, her voice booming and echoing through the entire dreamscape. King of Shadows and Tyrant of the Crystal Empire. Rainbow Dash, hissed Sombra. Elite, Celestial Knight, and awesome badass. Sombra, bellowed Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash, screeched Sombra. Sombra, Rainbow Dash. Twilight had to stuff her hoof in her mouth to suppress the giggles. This was Silver Agee, all right. Rainbow Dash began hovering just above the ground, pointed at Sombra. Your reign ends today, by my powers of awesomeness. Not so. You may have survived my last attack, but you cannot stop my master plan. Today you are going down. The princesses, flanking Sombra, stepped up to the balcony, their wings spread, ready to take off. No, it is you who are going down, chump. Dash was off in a flash. Sonic rainbowing circles around the Empire. She kept slowing down and speeding up again, rainbowing repeatedly and sending more and more rainbows cascading through the Empire. Even by dream logic, Twilight was confused. What would multiple rainbows do? But then she saw what happened when the rainbows hit the crystal ponies. Their helmets glowed for a second, then shattered in a cascade of multicolored spark, freeing the pony inside. As Rainbow Dash kept circling the Empire, the mounted soldiers still under Sombra's control, quickly dropping to nothing. No, yelled Sombra. helmets, my soldiers! It's no use, she's too awesome! On either side of him, Celestia and the copy of Luna shuddered as their helmets exploded, then collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily. Sombra turned tail and tried to run back into the Crystal Palace, but Rainbow Dash dropped on him from above like a heat-seeking ton of bricks, smashing them both through the balcony. Rainbow Dash opened her wings, stopping her fall halfway, but Sombra dropped off all the way down and left a crater. He was just staggering over the rim when Rainbow Dash tackling him. In the still empty square, every single pony in the Crystal Empire watching them. Who's the mayor? Rainbow Dash yelled in his face. Who's the mayor? Mayor, you are, blubbered Sombra. Rainbow Dash smirked. Damn straight. She gripped Sombra by the tail, and with a single mighty heave flung him into the stratosphere, where he vanished with a visible, audible twink. Ting! There was half a second of silence, and the crowd exploded into cheers. Confetti and streamers began falling from nowhere. As the crowd began chanting, Rainbow Dash, Rainbow Dash, a band somewhere began playing triumphant music. Rainbow Dash, of course, laughed it all up. She didn't say anything, but she grinned wildly and began to hover about this crowd, making motions like she was some kind of rock star, trying to get the crowd to chant louder. Twilight could hear some nearby stallions swooning. She's oh awesome. Yeah, Twilight said to Luna. This is definitely the sort of dream Rainbow Dash would want, beating up bad guys and getting showered with praise. She's in heaven. Celestia and the copy of Luna flew down in the balcony and fell at Rainbow Dash's feet. Real Luna looked somewhat put out. Thank you for saving our lives, O great and noble Rainbow Dash, said Celestia. Is there anything we can do to repay you? You don't need to do that, said Rainbow Dash. I'm just happy to help. I don't need anything. She turned to the crowd, waved, and got another roar. The princesses crawled forward and wrapped their forelegs around Rainbow Dash's legs. Real Luna looked a little bit miffed. But please, said Dream Luna, there must be something, anything. Rainbow Dash turned towards the sky and tapped her chin. Well, the dream blurred for half an instant, and there was a parade through the square. It was big, elaborate, one of these parades where every pony goes all out. Bands played, dancers danced, singers sang, fire breathers fire breathed, and all the center was a floating, carrying Rainbow Dash. Still in her regalia, the still was Celestia and Dream Luna grasping her legs. Real Luna looked rather incensed. The crowd was cheering louder than ever. As Rainbow Dash waved, she was greeted the surrounding ponies by name. Hi Ivory, hi Bright Smile, hi Rose Quartz, hi Twilight, hi Luna, hi Crystal Air, hi... Rainbow Dash did a double take. She looked at the Luna next to Twilight, then down to the Luna clinging to one of her legs, and her face turned bright red. She chuckled nervously as she tried to shake the second Luna off. This totally wasn't my idea, Your Highness. It was mine, the Tantabus said brightly. You wanted to save ponies. What better ponies than the princess? Yes. Well, grunted Dash. Rainbow Dash still trying to get rid of the Dream Luna. The least you could do is not do it when there's an actual princess here. She finally managed to pull herself out of the Dream Luna's grasp, was sunk into the ground and vanished. Rainbow Dash glanced up at Celestia, who was tearing up at her with big eyes. After a moment, she began to shake her off too. Who are you, any? She got off. Then she got a good look at the Tantabus. She tried to back away, pushing against the float with her hooves and beating her wings, but Celestia was too heavy. Tantabus, she yelled. Calm down, Rainbow, said Twilight, flying to her side. It's not the same one we fought. Luna made this one to make bad dreams good. I gave Sombra the mustache, the Tantabus said proudly. Rainbow Dash finally pulled herself from Celestia's grip, but she didn't fly away. Instead, she looked at the Tantabus for a few seconds, tilted her head this way and that, then said, I don't think you needed to. Sombra looked so evil that a mustache like that would make his evilness less obvious. The Tantabus pouted. I love villain mustaches. I'm sorry for interrupting, said Luna. But would you say this is a good dream for you, just to be sure? Rainbow Dash smiled and jumped into the air. Heck yeah! I get to beat the stuffing out of Sombra, save a bunch of ponies, and have a parade. Why wouldn't it be great? See? Said the Tantabus proudly. I can do good dreams. True, said Luna. But you said you simply amped things up here, which implies that this dream has already been going to be good. We should start your nightmare and see what you can do then. Mom, said Rainbow Dash. She chuckled. Okay, wow, I gotta hear the story behind this. As Twilight said Luna, I created this one to turn bad dreams good. It takes a little bit of the stress off me, but I don't have to patrol the dreams of all pony kind every night. Then one night, it suddenly started calling me Mom, and well, I want to be sure it's safe and behaves correctly. I'm right here, mumbled the Tantabus. No offense, but the original Tantabus attempted to escape dreams to turn Equestria into a living nightmare. Forgive me if I'm a bit antsy over the prospect of that happening again and want to avoid it. Rainbow Dash grinned. I think it's great. There's nothing like a little ramp-kicking bad guys to make me happy. You're all right, Tantabus, for this dream. But what about others, said Luna. There are many other types of dreams, and we're only looked over one. We need to cover our bases. If I say that Tantabus is safe. Yeah, added Twilight. We need to get a little more data before we can say anything. One might be a fluke. I don't think so, but we need to be sure. She turns to Rainbow. It was nice to see you, Rainbow, but we have to... Wait, Rainbow Dash. Hey, Tantabus, if you're going to go, any chance you can change my dream? I mean... Rainbow Dash sweep to hoof with their Crystal Empire. This is great, don't get me wrong, but I'd like something different now. Sure. The Tantabus form lapsed into a smoke and puffed up immensely, obscuring Twilight's vision for a moment. When it reformed, the Crystal Empire had been replaced by sunlit filled, happy flowers singing a song. We are such happy flowers, we will sing for hours. Rainbow Dash screamed, What are you doing? This isn't a good dream, this is a nightmare, this! And then she noticed the flamethrower nozzle strapped to her hoof. The cackle she released as she ignited it would have rivaled the Maniac's. The Tantabus opened the door out of air. Let's leave her to it, and was gone. As Twilight left the dream, the last thing she heard, Rainbow Dash yelling, Burn, you stupid flowers! Burn! And that is the second chapter of Tantabus Mark II. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, as I did reading it. Thank you.